Tennessee. Tennessee. tonight do? Where tonight do? No matter wherever you go, I'm after you. And I don't care about the money, care about the cars, but my heart, it's my lifeline. It's my lifeline. Girl, you committed a crime. You left me so broken. Remember you told me, say, you're the only one. You're looking at me eyes, all my love can done. You ripped out my heart, and now she on the run. Get somebody down, 911. She's taking my identity. If somebody come, run. I feel like I can hardly breathe. If another man takes my place, I swear I'd go out. So judge, settle the trial. No matter what tonight do, what tonight do. No matter wherever you go, I'm after you. And I don't care about the money, care about the cars, but my heart, it's my lifeline. It's my lifeline. Girl, you committed a crime. She thought she could hurt me and let me go. She thought she could play me for a fool. I know. She thought you were staying, but you were gone. You did me wrong. There's somebody down, 911. She's taking my identity. There's somebody come, run. I can hardly breathe. If another man takes my place, I swear I'd go out. So judge, settle the trial. No matter what tonight do, what tonight do. No matter wherever you go, I'm after you. And I don't care about the money, care about the cars, but my heart, it's my lifeline. It's my lifeline. Girl, you committed a crime. Girl, you committed a crime. Now you committed a crime. Oh no. Girl, you committed a crime. No matter what tonight do, what tonight do. No matter wherever you go, I'm after you. And I don't care about the money, care about the cars, but my heart, it's my lifeline. It's my lifeline. Girl, you committed a crime.
Here comes my pain again. On my mind, I can't hide it toys with me. I'll hide from the storm, I'll keep myself warm. You remind me of who I really was. You make me smile with the way your body walks. And all the while I watched your mouth as you talked. We spent our days alive down in lover's lust. You take my hand and make my soul and body lost. Here comes my pain again. On my mind, I can't hide the toys with me. I'll hide from the storm, I'll keep myself warm. You remind me of who I was.
Welcome to Monday night's Tilton Talk Show, sponsored by Image Cleaning. Saturday saw a 3-0 defeat at home to a rampant Derby County team. However, we were unlucky and didn't get the rub of the green that happens when you're down the bottom end. We even gave them a run for the money in the first 20 minutes, hitting the post and coming oh so close. And then we gifted them a goal when Stockton had the ball well covered, only to see it fizz off the leg of our player and give them a very undeserved lead. Back we came and got at them again, but all was in vain, and we ended up looking like we had taken a battering. In fact, quite the opposite. And if we continue to play like that, then the team has no reason why we can't get ourselves out of trouble we're currently in. Great to see my son Scott back after his horrible injury to his foot, and so nice for all those who shouted welcome back Scott. He was made up that he got recognised. Preston away next, and I suppose we've got to be very thankful that all the other teams around us got beat. Come on Blues, we're much better and so much more improved on what we were seeing 6 weeks ago. We can do this, but we have to do it together. Well, once again, strap yourselves in as here we go with the world's one and only Tilton Talk Show. The football family is today mourning at the sad passing of Cyril Regis at the age of just 59. Here was a man who had endured the vicious chants and acts of racism levelled towards him back in the late 70s. He answered those chants by being a better footballer and a better human being. He was a pioneer for all black players today, paving a way to open up the mindsets towards young black players making it on the football scene. He never played for Blues, but we all feel, as a football family, a sense of loss at the untimely passing of such a great man. I had the pleasure of watching him play quite a few times, and if he was a player today, I think he would just be unbuyable. We here at Sports Radio Birmingham, and I'm sure everybody connected with Birmingham City Football Club, offer his sincerest condolences to his family and everybody that knew him. The Midlands and football has lost a true hero, a true legend, and a gentleman.
Sad?
Sad, yes, very sad. 59 years old.
No age.
And after what he had to go through back in the 70s.
Crocky, yeah.
You just used to laugh it off.
Yeah.
Score another goal.
The 3 degrees.
That's, you joke about it, but that's, the stories that people have been coming out today, bananas thrown at him, and
absolutely,
just pick them up and take a bite and smile and carry on. And I was watching a few videos today of some of his best bits and some of his goals. I think the goal that won goal of the season against Norwich, where he's turned, and the pace and power where he's got away from his man and thunderous shot into the top corner. So yeah, like you say, the three of them, obviously Cunningham probably the better player as he went to Real Madrid, but the three of them, Cunningham, Regis and Brendan Batson as well, the real trailblazers, and the adulation and credit that when Cunningham died was recently as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
not long ago. Laurie Cunningham died as well. So yeah, and I think you're right. Just best thoughts to all his family, and thanks for what he did for the game.
Yeah, it's very difficult. These things, they're going to happen from time to time, and it's sad. But I think looking back from, I've still got my Kick Racism at a football T-shirt from like years ago, and somebody had to break the mould, and he certainly did. Well, the three of them certainly did. Yeah, the three of them certainly did.
Well, Kev Kelly's just put there, R.I.P. Big Cyril Regis paved the way for many a player and would rank well above the likes of Drogba, Lukaku and Benteke.
Most definitely.
Easily.
He's right. You look at the amount players go for now, and he's probably topping the 100 million mark, isn't he? From if he was around today. So.
Yep. What would we give for one of them now?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, onwards and upwards, guys. Right, good evening and welcome to the show. Thanks ever so much for those that have shared it already. Please just put it on your personal Facebook page and be in for a chance of a prize next week. Mrs. Fun, Mr. Fun, sorry, Mrs. Brown.
Mrs. Fun.
Mrs. Brown.
Is there any alcohol in this?
Mrs. Brown has made an apology for not posting the hats out.
I'm sorry,
Been a mental week, but they are sorted.
They're all going out tomorrow.
They're all going out tomorrow.
Yeah,
So if
one's
you're,
going
if you're
out
due a
and the
Tilton
rest
Talk hat, to keep right on that, beg your pardon, then it will be posted out tomorrow. Mark Protton is saying it's froze. Our link here is perfectly okay. So
it's okay,
refresh, Mark. That's all we
Refresh it, yeah.
Right,
We'll get off
okay.
Virgin.
Saturday, I managed to get Scotty back to a game. Really nice to see him. He was absolutely thrilled to be there.
Yeah.
Still got his cast on, but he's no, he hasn't got his cast on. Beg your pardon, his cast is off. Because he's got two pairs of shoes on. He doesn't have one pair. What am I doing tonight?
I've no idea.
What am I doing tonight? Two pairs of
Is
shoes.
it 9 o'clock yet?
Yeah. And then we go and get tonked 3-0. Unjustified?
Unjustified.
Come on, I want to hear
I
what
mean,
you're going
look
to
at that first 20 minutes. Look how we
Unjustified.
played that first 20 minutes.
Can a
15?
better team lose 3-0?
Can I what, sorry?
Can a better team lose 3-0?
I wouldn't say
certainly
we, I
weren't
wouldn't,
the
I wouldn't
best
say
team.
we were the better team, but
Okay.
we gave
I
them a
thought
run
for
for the
15
money.
minutes, we more than held our own.
Absolutely, hit the
We
post.
could have been 1 or 2-0 up.
2-0 up.
Which is what, goals change games. Grimes' shot hits the bar, hits the post.
He got two pairs of shoes on
I
as well.
know, yeah. So if that goes in, the game changes, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Goals completely change games, and we know better than anybody with Rowett as manager how important that first goal is. When he was in charge of us, that first goal was always very important. Now, if we'd have gone 1-0 up, they have to come out and really have a go at us, and we've got something to hold on to, and we can hit them on the counter attack, and the game changes completely. But it doesn't go in. I don't think we had another very, very good chance.
Or hit the post twice.
Yeah, that was when it was 2-0 though, the second header. But the first 15 minutes, Grounds' shot hit the post. I think Boga beat his man, beat Wisdom, I think, on the left and cut it in, and Gallagher probably took a touch when he could have hit it first time, and he couldn't get a shot away. After 15 minutes though, they looked like a promotion candidate.
Cracking
They
second
really
goal.
do.
That was a cracking second goal.
The first goal is a fortunate deflection, but you probably criticise us a little bit for dropping deep and letting Johnny Russell come so far. He's practically 12 yards out by the time he gets his shot away. He shouldn't really be allowed to run that close to our goal. And then as soon as he gets the deflection, Stockdale's got no chance.
Stockdale had already got the ball covered in the direction that it was
going.
Yeah. He would have got
and
it.
The deflections deceived him. No fault for Stockdale on that goal. But from that moment on, that's the game. That is the game won for Derby, and they have got. People aren't going to like this, but that the last 70 minutes. It was like when Bullseye when they didn't win, and then they said, let's see what you could have won, and they brought the prize on.
Yeah.
That 70 minutes performance from Derby was exactly that. That was, let's see what Blues could have had if we'd have give Gary Rowett money.
All right.
Because their front four was so fluid. And he got a lot of criticism for his style of play or whatever Rowett did.
Inherited a good squad though.
He did inherit, he hasn't bought a lot of players in. He's bought Huddleston in. Huddleston and George Thorne were magnificent, and those two in midfield means that front four can do whatever they want. But their movement and their fluidity and the confidence that they've got in their team and the understanding they've got was really, really good. And I wouldn't say they battered us. They didn't batter us.
No, not at all.
Was it justified 3-0? Probably, because that was the scoreline, and Stockdale's had other chances, other saves that he's made. I would say they were the best team I've seen this season.
You can't change the scoreline.
No,
you can't.
But you have to have a sense of realism that
Absolutely.
first 15 minutes, I thought we were very, very good against a side that are confident, flying high towards the top of the table, looking at promotion. So to start that way and to have, it showed what 3 wins on the bounce did for us, because we did look confident in that first 15 minutes. But as I say, that first goal is so important, and as soon as that goes in, it allows Derby to do everything that they want to do in a football match, especially away from home.
Some comments on the box, Paul Gill. Derby weren't anything special. They got lucky for their first. Then the ref totally ruined the game with his incompetence, along with the linesman that made Stevie Wonder look like he had 20/20 vision. We blew it chasing the game, although the last 2 goals were poor to give away.
They could have scored 6 or 7 in the second half on the counter.
Yeah, Kev Kelly. Blues played really well first 30 minutes. Pity hit the bar twice. During the match, Derby played the perfect counter-attack game, as it's the manager's style.
Yeah.
Keith McCarthy, we needed a centre-half with pace to replace Roberts. He looks like he's on the travelator.
but last week, we were praising Roberts and Dean. Nobody had a bad word to say about Roberts and Dean, because they'd kept 3 clean sheets in a row, and everybody was saying that's your best centre-half partnership. That is our best centre-half partnership. At the end of Roberts has made a mistake for the second goal. For not reading the ball back over the top, and Vidra's gone in, and Vidra's a man in form, and the way he's put that away is exactly that. It's a man in form.
Well taken. Paul Hipkiss looked like a penalty on Gallagher in the first half from where I was as well. Yes, I'd agree with that one. And Graham's has been great this season, but Russell lost him from Darren White.
Yeah, but Johnny Russell's a really good winger. But what I would criticise Grounds for was the fact that he didn't get close enough to Russell, especially for the first goal. He allowed him to come too close in and get his shot away in the end. If he's going to have a shot and it gets deflected, you'd rather have it from 20, 25 yards out than 12, because then Stockdale's got no chance.
Yeah. Right, okay. The first 30 minutes were the better side. Stephen Cale. After the goal, we disappeared, really, players hiding and not being brave enough to get on the ball. Second half, which is why we had so much possession on the halfway line. Second goal was a joke. Roberts had done 2-3 times with a long straight ball.
Yeah. Yeah. And second half disappointed me, because I thought, at half-time, I thought, okay, they're 1-0 up. They're 1-0 up, but we are still in this. They've shown me enough in that first half, especially the first 15 minutes, to suggest that we can get a goal against these. And if we get an early goal against them in the second half, then it's all to play for. But we come out and we look like we'd gone in, and he said to them, just keep going, keep playing the way, and it'll come. Whereas it looked like Derby had gone in and they knew exactly what they were doing. They were, that they, if anything, they come out even stronger and even more
Resolute,
not attack-minded, but that they knew exactly what they were doing in that second half, and the chances that they created in that second half showed.
Loads of comments coming in. Stuart McDonald, how are we going to stop opposing teams forwards walking straight through us? Again, Derby's midfield passing straight through the middle. It was quite embarrassing, as Blues back players didn't have a clue how to stop them. You just said 15 minutes we held our own. How about the rest of the game? I expect a result, draw or win. We should have held our own. If no result next week, I think we can say we are down. Preston next week.
Yeah. Tough game.
Tough game away.
Tough game. They're quite strong at home. Tough, yeah. It is, you look at every game, and especially the one after that. Then the next league game is Sunderland at home. Yeah. Now, what a 6-pointer that is. You don't really want to go into that on the back of 2 league defeats, back-to-back defeats. So ideally, if we could get something from Preston, that would be really, really needed, because that Sunderland game on that Tuesday night is absolutely monumental.
Yeah.
If you lose to Preston and you lose to Sunderland, that's the end of January, and you've lost 3 on the bounce. So you've just lost to the team who are the only team below you.
Yeah.
You are really staring into the abyss. Then
we could go into the Derby stone.
We've still got a good opportunity to get out of it, though, because we aren't playing. Of course we aren't playing that poorly. We're playing considerably better than we did a few weeks ago. Considerably.
Listen, however bad we were in that second half against Derby, it was 10 times better than we were against QPR at home and other performances this season. So I think we are playing better. We are playing with a Gallagher up front again. His hold up play. I just wish somebody would have had maybe put Hotter on a little bit earlier, or and get somebody around Gallagher.
Just said, why was Hotter not given more time? Record signed and sat on the bench till the 85th minute.
But I mean, the amount of times the ball, even if Gallagher's not winning it, he's causing the defence a problem, and it's just dropping by him. So if you get players around him, a lot of the time the ball is being lumped up to Gallagher, and you've got Magoma hugging one touchline and Boga touching the other, and Davis, Gallagher, Gardner, and Kieftenbeld are all in the centre circle. Yeah. So even if Gallagher wins it, it's not going anywhere.
Heath Burgess says, let's face it, we play like that against 70% of the teams in the Championship. We're going to pick up points. Tend to agree, but we've got to pick them up.
Yeah. I said to a guy next to me, if that wasn't Derby, that first 15 minutes worries a hell of a lot of teams.
Yep.
And we probably carry on after 15 minutes. But that Derby team is really good. It's really confident. They're strong. They're physical. They know exactly what they're doing. They're well drilled. And they took authority of the game. Whereas if we were playing, if we did that against QPR at home, we'd have beat QPR.
Yeah.
Paul
Gill, many fans were annoyed that Steve Cottrell didn't bring on Adams as soon as we went 2-0 down. Adams, lively and composed on the ball, and he had more idea where the knockdowns from Gallagher were going.
Yeah, and that's another one. But obviously you've got Adams is coming back from injury, and we're not privy to what happens on the training ground. We don't see Adams every day. We just see the players when they play matches.
Yeah.
You don't know if he's looked a little bit off the boil and they're worried about his injury flaring up or whatnot. And he obviously wanted to give him half an hour or so. That was the plan. But if he trains well this week, I'd be very surprised not to see him certainly getting more game time, if not starting at Preston.
And Mark Hopkins says, to be honest, I don't actually think we played that bad. As much as I don't like Cottrell, I don't think getting rid of him is the answer. I think we should all now turn to the board and force their hands to make some quality signings. How our supporters are going to force the board's hand, I don't know.
No, I don't know how we can make them make signings.
When we don't have any money anyway.
Well, that's the worry, isn't it? Has the money dried up? Cottrell's not exactly bounding with the inspiration and confidence in his interviews about transfers, is he? So
no, I think his best quote was, "If we'd have scored more goals, we'd have won."
Well, that's. I'm trying to put that in the past, Chris. I'm trying not to think about that. I'm trying to give them a chance. If you start throwing those quotes back at me,
positives I'm going to take though, Chris. There was far much more teamwork. They were more cohesive. They were more together. Players looked sharper. We were playing the second in the league, and
I think like I said, I think Wolves are the best team in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I think Derby were the best team I've seen at St Andrews this season, and it's no disgrace to lose to that Derby side. And like I said, you said in your introduction, the first 15 minutes we did have chances, and we could have taken the lead. And I maintain goals change games, and if we take the lead, then it's a very different game.
Yeah.
But we've just got to keep that momentum. We've got to keep that spirit. I thought Davis in the first 15 minutes in particular was a hell of a lot better than he has been for most of the season. I think the midfield three are working harder. They're just you're not going to turn them into Xavis and Iniestas overnight. They're not going to become ball playing midfielders who can split defences apart with one pass. You're just not. Gardner is going to try a 40-yard pass at every 5 minutes, and it's going to go into the back of the Tilton. That is what's going to happen. Unless you buy really good ball-playing midfielders, we're going to rely on crosses and set pieces and the odd bit of brilliance from one of the wingers, probably, because we're going to get. You're not going to get much piercing through balls from those three midfielders. No, if they're working harder, that's what you can get from them.
Yeah. And for me, it certainly looked like they were.
Yeah. What I would say, one positive take from it, is that Kieftenbeld isn't getting in their midfield. If we're worried about Derby coming in for Kieftenbeld, he's not getting in their midfield, so he's not displacing Huddleston.
Even on the bench?
Well, maybe as a backup. But Huddleston and Thorne were class apart. They kicked the ball for fun.
A very good morning to Leonard Edgington, tuning in all the way from Queensland, Australia. Good morning to you.
Congratulations on the Ashes.
Good morning, Carver.
Should we leave that where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a girls' game anyway.
Did you see anything or hear anything about Cottrell apparently having words with
Only on social media, yeah.
Some of our supporters behind
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me. He comes across as that sort of guy, doesn't he? That would give it. You know, if he feels he's being unfairly got at, or someone's having a pop at him, he seems like the kind of guy who will give it back if he feels it's unnecessary.
Brett Stanley says,
"Does it help?" I don't know. But
yeah, Brett Stanley says, "Can we stop talking about Rowett? It's been over a year now. We're where we are." I'll tell you what,
we've just
we're talking
played
about.
them.
That's it.
We just played it. What do you, I can't. We've just played his team. I'm trying to explain how we've lost that game 3-0. I can't. You know.
We will talk.
I apologise, but we have just played his team.
Yeah. You don't need to spend a fortune to have success. Look at Burnley, Huddersfield, Southampton, built from League One from Keith Burgess.
You know, so maybe we've got to use the loan market better. Well, you know, I mean, what did we do in the loan market in the summer? Jenkinson, who hasn't featured mainly because of injury, but Bramall isn't playing. Liam Walsh came in on loan and went straight back, and it took Cottrell like 10 games to work out Gallagher as a centre forward. So we didn't really make the most of the loan market to the best of its ability in the first half of the season. Maybe we've got to look at utilising it better in the second half. If we haven't got the transfer fees available, we'll use the loan market better.
And good evening to you, Sam Hubert, friend of the show, and thanks for coming over and having a chat on Saturday. Nice to see you. Also got to say hello to a guy called James. I didn't get his surname, unfortunately. He comes up from Finchley Park in London to watch the games, and met him outside the back of the Tilton, and I think he recognised the voice.
Oh.
Bless him. Nice lad, very nice lad, and unfortunately you had a terrible journey home, but never mind. Right, can we talk about Rowett? We haven't mentioned him for 3 minutes. Right, we're talking about Rowett because, as Chris just explained, that we've just played their football team, his football team, and we will talk about other managers when they come. Next week we'll probably talk about the Preston manager. What's his name?
Alex Neil.
Yeah. So he might get mentioned next week.
He might, yeah. It's a strong chance as we're playing his team, yeah.
At 8 o'clock. Is it 8 o'clock, Chris, or 8:30? We've got our guest.
8 o'clock, first one.
8 o'clock. Our first phone-in will be tonight. Yeah. A gentleman called Steve Burrows, correct?
Somebody just said who's the good-looking bloke in the top right-hand corner, so I'll just have to
Check and Doyle, probably, is it?
Yeah.
Gentleman called Steve Burrows, who have just written a book all about football violence between the Blues and the Villa, going back, and be interesting to have a chat with him. He is a West Brom supporter, so we'll be nice to him.
Can we get to the Indoy part of the show?
Yeah.
No.
I think people only join for that bit.
Sick of it.
It was really nice to see Chekandoy getting a round of applause when he ran down towards the Tilton.
He ran?
Yeah.
You're joking.
No,
well, I haven't seen that this season.
It was a bit of a trot.
Oh,
a bit of a trot,
okay.
you know. A bit of a trot. Super 6. Okay, right. I didn't do very well on Super 6 this week, but there are 2 Tilton Talk presenters in the top 10.
It's true, that is.
It's true.
Moving on. It's just a blip. It's just a blip.
It's a big blip.
It's quite a big gap you got there now, mate, isn't it?
It's a blip.
You were in the top 10 yourself not so long ago. But having said that, when you mentioned that you were in the top 10, you dropped out almost the week after.
Yeah,
and I've stayed out now.
Yeah.
I've
got an injury.
Kiss of death on it now. I'm like, kiss of death. Got to welcome Matt Doyle to Blues. Matt Doyle has joined the Blues Academy. And a 28-year-old has joined, this is directly off the Blues website, the 28-year-old has joined from Barnet, where he oversaw every goalkeeping programme at the club, from first team academy and ladies. Doyle began his coaching career with the Bees in 2009 as head of the academy goalkeeping. He worked with all age groups as well as senior players under various managers such as Paul Fairclough, Laurie Sanchez and Martin Allen. In 2012 he moved to Stoke City working with the under-8s to under-23 goalkeepers, and after 4 years, Doyle left to seek a fresh challenge. That took him to Malaysia and the first-team goalkeeping role with Super League, with the Club Penang FA, working under head coach Ashley Westwood. In May 2017, Doyle returned to England for his second spell at Barnet, which came to a close this month with his Blues appointment. Christian Speakman, Blues Academy manager, commented, "We undertook rigorous recruitment process to identify the right person who we believe has the ability to move the goalkeeping programme forward. In Matt, we have someone with a desire to develop and improve. He is committed to developing our young keepers, and already moved his family to the area, which I think reflects his enthusiasm for the role." Always nice to have somebody new on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully he can do a good job.
Yeah.
We've got a long history of academy players coming through. So.
It was Jack Undoy in the top left corner. Darryl wants to get Jack Undoy off the screen. Undoy has said if he gets that hat trick, he will tattoo Mr. Fun's face on his bum.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great one, Robert. Great one. News from the ladies' camp this week, Mister.
Big news.
Yeah.
Good win.
Yeah. Very good win yesterday over Bristol. Bristol City 2-0. 0-0 at half time, and then Aoife Mannion scored a penalty. And Charlie Wellings got the other in a 2-0 win. So Ellen White, the England international, comeback off the bench, returned from injury as well. She's been out since September.
Am I right that it was the first win since October?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, first in a while. Yeah, obviously it's not games aren't played every week like they are here, but so it's good that the confidence is back. We looked like we were confident, and we were getting players forward better in better areas, and dominated the game. I think, the exception of one. I think Hannah Hampton in goal had one save to make, I think, in the first half. But apart from that, we were keeping the ball better and getting forward a lot, like I said, a lot more, and giving ourselves a lot more opportunities to score goals.
Good stuff. Seem to be getting a bit more publicity from the club as well now. I've noticed there seems to be a bit more tweets and stuff coming from the tweeting camp at the United. Which is good.
I hope so. If you get more people in, the merrier. It's difficult trying to attract fans, and families when it's a summer league, which it was. It's perfect. Bring your family out for a nice day in the sun and watch the football. But now you're trying to do it where you're attracting families to a freezing cold Sunday, at Solihull Moors, and it was absolutely bitter again yesterday. So it's going to be difficult to get people into it. But hopefully the success of the team, if we keep winning games, then that'll help attract people in more.
Okay, I'm sure we'll go get
no more comings and goings.
No, nothing. I think the window closes on the 25th of January, but I think Mark's already said that we're not expecting anyone in. So
that doesn't mean you're not expecting anyone out.
Well, if the window's open, then teams might be looking around, but I wouldn't expect anything else really. And in this window, you'll probably be looking at the summer window where there's a few more changes possibly.
Okay, Chris has just gone off to try and make the phone call to get Steve Burrows on the show, and then we'll be up live and running with him in a minute or two. Rob Doyle says Gardner is one of our best passers of the ball. I think he's getting on fair stick, and Gallagher seemed to get some stick as well. I've just seen a comment here from Ian Downey. Felt Gallagher was getting unfair grief from the fans for me on Saturday. He seemed to be the only one trying for any incisive pass forward at times. He's no Pirlo.
Gallagher?
Yeah, he isn't Pirlo, but he's one of us.
Gallagher?
Gardner. My bad.
Yeah.
You can't have a go at him for trying to berate him every time. He failed. I thought.
Listen, he's trying. I can see he's trying, but it's that. I suppose it's what we're doing at the moment with Gallagher up front. As the lone striker, then naturally your first thought as you pass, if you're a midfielder, is get it up to Gallagher. unfortunately, he's trying these raking 30, 40-yard passes, and like I say, it's either ending up in the Tilton, or if it does come off, which he did a couple of times, Gallagher wins it or knocks it down. There's not enough around Gallagher to create anything, so it just comes straight back to us then.
Hopefully we've got Steve Burrows on the line. Good evening, Steve.
Hello there, how you doing?
Nothing.
No.
Good evening, Steve.
Hiya.
That's better. We can always rely on Chris Brown and his buttons and his lack of ability. Welcome to the Tilton Talk Show. Monday nights, we do this every week, and you've just written yourself a book. Or
yes.
Yourselves.
Yeah, called Keep Right On, actually.
Right.
Tell us about it.
What inspired it?
We're actually, I write with a co-author, and we're both Brummies. I'm from Moseley, and he's from Lozells, and we've been trying to write books about Birmingham for Brummies, really, I suppose. And we wrote a first book, which is called Black Over Bill's Mothers, which is a bit of a Brummie saying that you might remember.
Yeah.
And then as a follow-up, we sort of used some of the characters, but we wanted to write a book about football hooligans, and I had the idea of writing a love story that involved football hooligans, and I obviously wanted them to be rival football hooligans, and what better rivalry could I think of than Blues and Villa?
Well, there isn't a better one, is there?
So I could have done the Albion and Wolves, I suppose, but I wanted it to be about Birmingham and Brummies, so we chose Blues and Villa.
Okay, available from...
Yeah, it's self-published on Amazon. It's available in paperback and as an e-book on Amazon.co.uk.
The e-book, yeah.
It's historical fiction, I suppose. Really, it's set in 1975-76 when Blues had some really good players like Trevor Francis and Howard Kendall.
There's only two of us in here that remember them.
I bet there's plenty out there.
I'm sure there is.
So. Chosen for a couple of reasons, really, that sort of year. The 75-76 season was the first year that Villa had been back in the old First Division and Blues were already there. So it was the first Blues-Villa match for about 10 years.
Oh, was that it?
When Villa first came up. I have to tell you, those who remember it, Villa won it 2-1 at Villa Park, but Blues had the last laugh because they won the next one and the one after that. So
I think 3-2 was the final score at St Andrews, wasn't it?
I think, yeah.
It's either 3-2 or
Trevor Francis scored the winner in the one at St Andrews with a header just before the end.
I just remember them bringing pink and blue balloons with them. Reminiscent of the plastic flag era.
Yes. Yeah.
We have no sympathy for them, Steve, don't worry.
So that was the first reason for choosing it. The second was obviously 1976 in particular was a very interesting year for a lot of things. And I'm nearly 60, so I'm a child of the 70s and a child of glam rock and all that sort of stuff. But I did remember particularly some of the events of those years, which... First of all, it was obviously the drought, the long hot summer of '76,
absolutely,
which nobody's ever forgotten. I don't think we've had a summer like it since. No. Secondly, it was the rise of the National Front on the streets of Birmingham, and there was also a huge amount of football hooliganism as well, problems with football hooliganism, and there were some links between right-wing people and some of the football hooligans. I wouldn't say all, but certainly there were some links. They were trying to recruit some of the worst football hooligans. And sometimes people from different supporters would get together as NF and go on the rampage. But the other thing that people of our age, I don't know how old you are actually, my age.
56, me.
would remember is Robert Ralph, who wouldn't sell his house to a black man.
Well, I can tell you now that I remember Robert Ralph fairly well because he lived in Leamington Spa and I lived in Warwick back in the day. And I remember it being all over the news, and my dad was actually in support of him back in the time. So it just shows how much we've moved on since then.
Yeah, it's fascinating. When I did the research for the book, I went to Birmingham Library, and they've got archives of all the old newspapers there, Sunday Mercury and the Evening Mail and stuff like that. And you can actually bring up the original copies of them on microfiche.
Right.
And it was absolutely fascinating. But what was fascinating was the attitudes and how they've changed so fundamentally over the years. the 1st of January 76 was the date that both the Race Relations Act and the Sex Discrimination Act came into force, and it provoked a whole series of media sort of stories of various kinds. The sexism side of things was incredible, because the policewomen were what demanded to go on the front line that year. And had to be allowed to, because previous to that they'd been kept in police women's departments dealing with the children and all that sort of stuff. But the best story the Evening Mail could make of it was that they needed a full length truncheon, and they hadn't got anywhere to put it because they were all wearing skirts and then got a pocket. So instead of focusing on equality, they ran this story for about 2 months about wherever the policemen were going to put their truncheon, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And then on the racism side, the sort of hidden in the words and the articles in the papers is an assumption that it's okay to be racist. And you can read, and people like councillors and industrialists and spokespersons for this, that and the other, and they're all saying things that are actually racist, and we would take a real second look these days at it, and so it was very fascinating doing the research. But we wanted to do a book about football. We wanted to do a book that involved some of our characters. We wanted to do a book about Birmingham history, if you like, so it all comes together in that. And so we built a plot around these two hooligan gangs. One's it's pre-Zulu Warriors days,
so it's early 70s then.
Yeah, so it's sort of, I think Apex were the hooligans back then for the Blues. I don't know what the Villa were actually. I can't remember.
Mothercare.
Yeah. It worked well actually, because of the rivalry. We've got this love story between the son of the head of the Villa firm and the daughter of the head of the Blues firm. And the son, the Villa guy, is a kung fu expert. Remember kung fu? I stuck that in because everyone did kung fu fighting back then as well. And, that's right. And so he's quite tasty as a fighter, and but he falls in love and tries to change. And the story's about what happens when he tries to change and whether it works or not. It involves all sorts of things. There's trips to Weston on sunny days out in the summer, like all the Brums do. There's the Winston Green prison riot. There's Man United fans going on the rampage outside Villa Park, Battle of Yew Tree Road. There's all sorts of real events in there that we rewrote, paraphrased, and included. It's
it's good to see that you've actually put real events in it, and not just come up with like a fictional story. You've got your fictional bit with your characters there that are trying to change things, but you've actually done the research and then gone in, through the paper archives and come up with factual items that actually went on.
Yeah, we enjoy doing that actually. I particularly enjoy it. I'm a bit of a historian by qualification when I was younger, and I like doing history, and our first book's full of genuine historical events. The books also contain some real policing events. The names, times and locations have all changed to protect the guilty. There are some from our experiences, because both Mike Layton, my co-author, and I are both retired cops. So we've built some of that in as well. Mike in particular has got a lot of knowledge about football hooliganism. He worked for West Mids, but he also did a long stint for British Transport Police when he specialised in policing on the trains, etc. So came into close contact with a lot of hooligans.
That's the only time I've ever been in trouble at Blues, was at Borsley Green Station. I got stopped for opening the train door before the train had stopped. 25 quid, so thank you very much. It was probably a good nick.
I actually got locked up once.
I didn't get locked up, no. £25 for opening the train door before the train stopped.
Well, that's the sad thing about it, isn't it? Is that actually the hooligans are about 0.1% of the crowd.
Yeah.
And the trouble is that the police have to try and deal with everybody the same, and if you've got a hooligan element contained in a load of innocent people, it's very difficult to winnow them out. And that is the perennial problem, really, with policing football crowds. I can tell you, having been there on my own with the big hat on, it's quite a frightening experience to be surrounded by a couple of hundred people and you don't know whether they are good people or not. And something cracks off and you think, are they all going to turn on me or not? It's
Robert Dawes asking, is there anything in there about the Peaky Blinders?
No, but actually the first book, Black Over Bill's Mothers, I hadn't seen Peaky Blinders before we wrote it, actually, and I've seen it since. Obviously, I love it and seen all the series, but you could actually term it as the sort of the next generation of Peaky Blinders, because it is about gangsters in a way. There's one of the storylines. It starts in 1942, and it's about a Birmingham girl who has a one-night stand with an American GI who's over for the war, and she gets pregnant, and he's a black GI, and she has twins, and one's black and one's white, which is a real genetic possibility where you can have a pure black child and a pure white one. And the book sort of explores their life and how they're treated, how the black kid's treated and how the white one is, and one becomes a cop and one becomes a gangster. And there's a big family fallout, and there's also a set of bikers involved in it, Hell's Angels, and it is a bit derivative from Peaky Blinders. Although I was maintaining I hadn't seen Peaky Blinders first, so I reckon he copied us actually.
If you make it into a film, can we each three of us in here have a cameo role?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, we can fit you in. I'm sure we can dress you up as bikers, perhaps.
You can film me getting off a train.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Falling on the floor.
Robert Dawes says it's easy to identify good from bad. Bad wear pink and blue, and the good wear blue and white. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I think, as you said at the start, I am a Baggies fan, but nearly all. I'm actually from Moseley, and I should have been. I only ended up being a Baggies fan through an accident, really. In that my dad never liked football, but my uncle used to be a Baggies supporter and used to take me to the Baggies as a kid. And you know what happens when you go as a kid? You never lose it. But
it happened to me. It happened to my kids.
But I do think that there's always been a much closer attachment between the Baggies and the Blues than the Villa and Wolves, especially. But
without a doubt.
Yeah.
We all sing the same songs about them.
That's right, we do.
Okay, so how much is the book then?
The ebook's $3.99. I think the paperback's $10.99. I forgot why you were going to ask me that. I think the paperback's $10.99.
$10.99. It is $10.99. I can confirm.
The problem with self-publishing is that Amazon take most of the printing costs in that
Surely
cost.
Not.
Yeah, because they're only in it for the money. Yeah. They've got a brilliant business model, really. All the writers produce all the books for them. They sell the Kindles and make all the profit on them and take profit out the books. So it's pretty good model, really.
Some of the comments coming in. Football violence calmed down with the introduction of the Balti pie. This is the standard of our listeners, by the way. Cameo, lol, you just opened up a can of worms. What characters would you like to see the presenters as?
Well, I think actually you could be in. If you're looking keep right, there's quite a few characters in the Blues firm that you could probably identify with.
And Mr. Fun, who's Chris Brown here, to be played by James Corden. He's just as funny.
I find that incredibly offensive. I hate that one. Steve, is your first book still available?
Yeah, well, we've actually written some non-fiction ones as well, so they're all available. We've got 5 books on at the moment. So the two non-fiction, the two fiction are Black Over Bill's Mothers and Keep Right On. And they are sort of one's a sequel of the other, although it can be read as a separate story. And then there's 3 policey books. One's called The Noble Cause, which is a more general book about policing experiences in Birmingham and Warsaw, some of the police training, riot training, and Hamsworth riots and all that sort of stuff. And then the other one's Warsaw's Frontline 1 and 2, which are when we were in Warsaw and set up a policing area there in a new way, and the sort of the crime and that. So in sort of the 80s, 90s, we're just having a bit of a lull at the moment. I've just started a book on my own, which is going to be set in Birmingham in 1972, and that's going to be another bit of a love story, but it's around the Davy Bowie Ziggy Stardust days in 1972, 73. But again, be sort of based in Birmingham. And then Mike's just currently working on a plot for a third in the series that started with the other two, which we've got a provisional title of A Touch of Innocence, which is going to be about paedophiles, I think. Again, centred on Birmingham. So, so we're still cracking on at it, and it's we don't make any money at it, but it's just I always wanted to write books and just enjoy doing it.
So you mentioned obviously as an ex-police officer, the Keep Right On book is based mid-70s. In the 70s and 80s, I don't know whether you had any contacts with other police forces around the country. Was Blues Villa always the one, and especially teams coming to Blues? Which fixtures were the ones that really had the police worried back then?
Well, for my sins, when I first joined, I joined in '83. I was based at Acox Green, so I policed the Blues every home match for my first sort of 2.5 years. And we got mostly Blues fans living on us. It was the old E Division, as it was called, which was sort of Stetchford, Bromford, Acox Green, Yardley, which very much is Blues sort of territory. So we ran. There was a football intelligence, a very, very sort of early football intelligence officer at Sheldon who did link to other teams. It was the very early days of that, and these were the days when police were inside the grounds, of course. And that all went because most of the clubs wouldn't pay for police officers and wanted to put stewards on instead. The Villa matches, there were categorisations even back then, Cat A, B and C. It wasn't the fine art it is now, and there wasn't all the sort of work that goes on in terms of identifying troublemakers, and you hadn't got the capacity to film like you can now and all that sort of stuff. The worst one I was actually on the touchline at the Birmingham City Leeds riot in 1985. That was definitely the worst violence I ever experienced at a football match. That was the day the poor lad got killed when the wall collapsed on him. Same day as the Bradford fire disaster.
It was his first game as well, wasn't
it? I've never forgotten that day. I'll tell you a story about it in a bit. But in terms of seeing the local derbies were always obviously big, but Leeds in particular in those days, the Leeds fans had a really bad reputation. Man United.
Somebody else has suggested West Ham.
West Ham. In fact, funnily enough, Man United and West Ham in the book when I did the research, there's stuff about West Ham supporters, particularly Man United supporters. At the time, there were calls to ban United fans from away games. They were so bad. They were notorious. But in my experience, the Leeds fans were worse. I can remember going away with the Albion to Leeds, and we were put in the bottom end of a stand with the Leeds fans above us, and they pelted us with coins for the whole match and then kicked our car doors in afterwards. So I've never had a great liking for them or love for them. So, in terms of I imagine a few of your listeners probably remember that day in May 1985. I can remember most of the overwhelming majority of the Blues fans were actually. I can still remember them standing open-mouthed and aghast on the Tilton and the antics that were going on. But I can't remember the exact details. It was the last match of the season, and we got word that the Leeds fans were going to try and stop the match if it wasn't going their way. And those were the days when there was fencing. But the fencing was only at the away end at the Blues then. So the railway end hadn't got any fencing, and I remember before the match we used to have like a briefing and parade, and we all used to sit in the railway end to be briefed. And I can remember sitting there before that match, and we all knew there was likely to be trouble. You could feel it was like you could cut the air, the tension in it. And I can remember looking around and thinking, there ain't many of us here. And the superintendent who was taking the brief, he said, right, lads, we've got plan A and plan B. Plan A is if it's all fine, we'll do the usual exits, we'll escort them out, we'll keep the Leeds fans in afterwards till the Blues fans have gone, then we'll escort them into town, etc. Plan B is if it start getting fights, you've got to get in between the fans and keep them apart, which we didn't like the sound of a great deal. That was the end of the briefing, and I went down. I was on the railway end touchline, right by the goal, actually. And about an hour before the match, the Leeds fans were all there and packed at that far end. And I can remember hearing a crash and turning round. So they'd ripped the top off the hot dog stand and were passing it down through the crowd and threw it over the fence. And I thought, this isn't going to be good today. And as the Blues fans came in, I policed the Blues every home match, as I said, so I knew what it should look like, the crowd. And I looked in the railway end, and where there used to be the family enclosure used to be in the railway end, and I saw a number of faces that I recognised from my days at Acox Green, what you'd call scufflers, who were well known baddies from various parts of the division who we came across on a regular basis, and the railway end was full of them. And there was no fence that end, and we hadn't got riot gear either. And the Leeds fans were playing up, and they were seen as the main threat. But I thought, I'm not sure about this. I'm still convinced that they set it up between them in advance of the match, because that's what they used to do. But at half time, it all went off at Haydock, and the pitch was invaded by the Blues fans from the railway end. And half time lasted for about half an hour from my memory. So we sort of forced them all back into the seats. And they diverted the operational support unit, which were the riot police, from the West Brom. I think West Brom were playing Arsenal. And they diverted them back to the Blues ground. And they put them all at the Leeds end. And they'd all got riot shields and riot helmets, and we hadn't. We'd still got our big hats on and wooden truncheons. And at the end of the match, there was just this huge pitch invasion. And the seats were flying at us. I remember getting hit by a seat. And I can remember my sergeant, I'm not allowed to swear on this. I remember my sergeant, I should tone it down. My sergeant running past, I was on the touchline, like using the goal net to try and block the seats raining down, saying, that's it, lads. Bugger plan A and plan B, it's plan C, every man for himself. and there was a pitch battle, and we were forced back nearly into the centre tunnel, and it was only the horses that saved us, really. We'd got horses in them days. There's none in West Midlands Police now. They sold them all years ago. But the horses charged and broke the charge of it was the Zulu warriors. You could hear them chanting Zulu, 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 and eventually we got them back into the stands. And then afterwards we had to go outside. I remember being formed up in the middle of the pitch. The Leeds fans were all penned in by the operational support unit. And remember there was about 30 of us formed up in the middle of the pitch. And the chief inspector said, right lads, well done, we've got them out. But there's trouble outside now, and we're going to have to go out and sort that out as well. And we went out onto Garrison Lane. And in the old days, there was a playground sunken down in Garrison Lane, children's playground. And when you came out the Blues ground, I remember it was a bit hazy now, it's a long time ago. There was came out the ground, there was a street, and then this playground was sunk down, so you couldn't see it. And we came out the ground, and we formed up, and there was a few throwing the odd brick and stuff at us. So the chief inspector formed us up, and we drew truncheons, and so he said, right, lads, charge them. So off we go, head lost complete, like, charge. And all these scufflers are going over the edge down and into this playground out of sight. And as we got closer to the playground, it started coming into sight. And I'm going, Gaffer, have you seen what's in the playground? And he's just like going, wah. And as we get to the edge, there's about 1,000 fans down in this playground. They're ripping the swings out of the ground. And they see us, and they let this huge roar up and start running towards us. And the chief inspector goes, right, lads, that's it, run away. And so we all turn and run back down this lane. And luckily there was a load of motorcyclists with crash helmets on who intervened, so we stopped them and went under charge. But it's I didn't get home till 8 o'clock at night. And
bad times. I didn't actually go for about 3 years after that game, to be fair. Okay, a couple of quick questions before we wrap this then. And how long does it take to write a book? From Paul.
Right. To do a raw research, about 3 months. To do a raw draft, probably 3 to 6 months. Then there's all the proofreading, publishing, and etc. So the first one took us 18 months. Keep Right On took us about 9 months. We're getting better at it. You get more skilled at it as you go. It's like any other muscle. The more you use your writing brain, it's the easier it gets.
John Asquith, sounds good book. Ordered it. So there you go. You've just had one order off.
Brilliant.
Could you write a book about housing estates?
Well, yeah, there's a bit about housing estates in Noble Cause, actually.
Somebody has asked, could you write a book about Northfield? And the comments are just that many. I can't keep up with them, to be fair.
This is
one message I'll leave you with.
From John Lyons, was that Keeley Park where the incident happened?
Sorry. I didn't get.
Someone's asked the incident you were just referring to, was that Keeley Park?
It could have been. That sounds familiar. It's so long ago now, and I'm a bit hazy on it, but it could have been. That sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm. Heath Burgess says, if this guy can write books like he can talk, he'll be a millionaire. Take a breath. Love it.
Yeah, I've never been known to shut up very easily.
All right then, so the Keep Right On book, there you go. It's available from Amazon. You can order it online as an ebook or as a paperback. You doing a hardback or not?
There is a hardback.
It's just paperback and ebook.
Paperback and ebook. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
paperback. Sorry.
All right. Good luck with it, my friend. Don't forget us for those cameo roles if ever you do make it into a film.
Will do. Yep.
I can't run very fast, though, so don't have me doing anything energetic, please.
Okay. Thanks ever so much for having me on the show.
Thanks ever so much, Stephen. All the best with the book. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
Hey, that was interesting.
Wonderful.
Sounds a good one, that does.
You know what was interesting there? I don't think I've ever heard a policeman talk about that day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Fascinating.
It goes to show you they knew, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, clearly, like Steve said, he did most of the Blues home games, and he looked around and he knew that was going to be a bad day that day. And I think a few of the comments that were coming in, some of the fans knew as well. I think so.
Yeah.
That's why you forgo atmosphere and adopted the Taylor report to make the game civilised and safe. Nothing heroic or nostalgic about hooliganism. Totally agree, Kevin.
And you joke about it.
And as I said, I've never ever been in trouble at football. The only time I got arrested was genuinely for opening a train door before the train had stopped.
But you joke about it. You know, sometimes you two and the people on the Facebook hark back to the days of where the atmosphere was like that, and you could stand wherever you want and move about. But actually, you know, a lot of the changes that have been brought in to support, you know, the changes inside grounds and policing and atmosphere and everything like that. You know, although it might seem like it's died down, those sorts of incidents are gone now, aren't they, in the English game?
Yeah. And thankfully as well.
Yes, agreed,
well. Yeah, because we don't need it.
Agreed.
Okay, moving on then. Burgergate. Could we put up a picture of a burger which was allegedly purchased at St Andrews over the weekend? Allegedly. And Chris, you are Mr. Guru of catering at St Andrews.
Oh, I wouldn't say I was the guru.
Well, we think you are.
Yeah.
We think you are.
All I can say is that is not inside the ground.
There it is. That was £4.80. It looks like, to me, the box could be from the stall at the back of the Tilton, because I bought one there previous, and they certainly have used a white box in the past. I cannot say that is or that isn't from there.
Yeah.
Right, because I didn't purchase it. The only person that knows is the person that purchased it. Yet there is a good bit of great sauce work there.
It is. It's decorative. I'll give them that, yeah.
And Ian Danter's just joined us. Welcome to the show, Ian. Unfortunately, just missed a great interview that we just had with a guy called Steve Burrows, ex-police officer who's written a book all about the Blues called 1875. Now, we're talking about Burgergate at the minute. That was the burger that was purchased for £4.80. Now, them onions look like they've just been dug up out of somebody's garden. They certainly don't look cool.
They're appalling.
The bread looks absolutely disgusting.
Yes, it looks like it's been
I don't know
for about an hour.
Who has decided to put brown sauce and mustard.
That's not...
Brown sauce and mustard on the same item.
I mean, listen, that's the purchaser's choice.
Absolutely, but
that
burger
does not look like a St Andrews produced burger.
Okay, I don't know where it was bought from.
If you had to
Robert Dawes says the quality of food at St Andrews is not the best. Chips are okay though.
Chips are good, and if you go to the one on the corner of the Tilton and the Cop, they do curry sauce with it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I've got to admit, I don't think I've had a bad burger inside.
No. That's what I mean. That doesn't look. No. That just does not look like it.
But Steve Portman says the vans outside are better. I tend to agree, Steve. That's where I got mine from on the weekend.
Controversial.
Very controversial. Although, Fat Les.
Don't moan about the fact we can't sign any players in the window if you're buying your burgers from a non-BCFC.
We should be able to sign Messi at £4.80 for that.
Just saying.
Pete Taylor says, I think they got the burger and the onion ratio the wrong way around. And that would never have been sold at the Blues. That can be eaten without any health worries. Opal as well, lads from Ian. Yeah, we're all right, Ian. Come back in sometime soon. We'd love you to have another session on the Tilton Talk.
So can we say categorically that is not a burger bought from inside St Andrews?
Whoa.
Put your life on you. Go on.
I value my life.
Okay.
I am happy to say now that I do not believe that was purchased inside St Andrews.
Okay.
I know the burgers from the catering, from inside from the kiosks are like £3.30 or £3.50 or something.
Well, Steve Portman's asking, wasn't that supposed to be purchased from the Cop? He's obviously read the story about it over the weekend. I can't remember seeing white containers around them catering stalls on the inside.
There's only two. There's three vans. There's three burger vans. One outside the Tilton, one on the corner of the Tilton and the Cop, and one outside the main stand by the big screen.
Ray says, I'm going to agree. I bought one the other week down the steps from the main stand. The burger was okay, but a dry bun, no onions at the time, not worth £4.80. McDonald's is down the road, but yeah, you've got to go outside the ground to get to there. Yeah. If we all buy a burger, will the club buy us a striker? There we go. And Dance, did you guys see the Swiss Ramble series of tweets on club finances? Very thorough. Yes, it did. Yeah.
That was scary, wasn't it?
We've got our own personal little Facebook messenger, which we're all on here, and I copied the link to the tweet from there, and when you read through it, it was worrying.
It was worrying. What I would say is that if you had a look at most clubs, I think most clubs would look like that. You know, most clubs are running at a loss. Obviously, the big worry from my perspective is that we are in the relegation zone at the moment, so we can't run that in League One. That's unsustainable. You know, if you keep dropping down the leagues, that sort of loss-making exercise is unsustainable. That's only good. You can only get away with that. Like Wolves, I'm sure Wolves' looks horrific. Their accounts, the expenditure on transfer fees and wages this summer. You know, next year's accounts will look absolutely horrific, but they won't give a damn if they're in the Premier League. You know, that's the difference. You can gamble with that money. You can gamble that making a loss for 1 or 2 years is okay if you make that step up, and if you know that you're getting that income afterwards. The fact that we're not, and you know, we're in the bottom three still, and you know, you worry that you know, I worry we cannot continue to make that lot. And Ian says it was thorough. The account actually explained it very well. You know, I'm in an accountancy based job anyway, so I understood a fair bit of it anyway. But you know, from a layman's terms, they understood it pretty well. They explained it pretty well, and it is a worry, especially if we go down. You know, and and the owners will be looking to do something about that. And if they don't spend any money this January, then maybe that's an explanation as to why.
Rob Dawes says the only way our Chinese owners will make the money that they want will be to get to the Premier League. The merchandise market in China is said to be huge.
Merchandising, if you get to the Premier League, you're done for life anyway, aren't you? So
it's 100 million.
Exactly. Keep going. Nowadays, the TV money is just getting more and more and more. So.
Nick Pointer says terrible financial situation and relegation, serious danger of doing a Portsmouth or more recently a Coventry. The ownership are just letting it die a death. They are very, very worrying.
What I would say about the ownership is that they've actually put the money forward. They've been willing to spend money, and they've been willing to sack managers and pay off contracts and things like that. And but they've gambled that their ambition is promotion. Their ambition is to get us to the Premier League.
Right, okay. We've got a next caller on the line, and it's Matt. Good afternoon to you, Matt.
Hi guys, you all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, thanks.
Just a quick point. It's more of a rant, really. I think. I don't know. Just going from.
We love it.
Bring it on.
Just going on from what you said at the top of the show about togetherness and what have you.
Yeah.
It's just over the weekend, obviously seeing things on social media and everyone having a moan and what have you about what's going on at the minute. And I come from a long line of blue noses, and it's been a family thing for generations now. But I think the time's just come for us to finally, back the manager that we've got, back the players that we've got, and just kind of look at it and kind of think this is where we are. We are where we are. There's nothing we can do about it. The reason being is like the recent love for Uncle Gary and what have you, and all those kind of things that people love saying about Gary Rowett and what have you. Gary Rowett made some, in my opinion, some questionable signings. And when you've not got any money, you need your signings to work, and especially if you're going to spend a little bit of money that you have got. I've seen comments about people saying about, he's got a right to go applying for other jobs and what have you, but in the real world, if you're a senior manager in any kind of business and your superiors knew that you were going for other jobs and what have you, would you realistically be expected to be kept in that job? Probably not.
I think the real world, though, Matt.
Sorry, say again?
Is football the real world, though?
Well, it's a business at the end of the day. People might not like to admit it, but a football club is a business, and it's a business with massive amount of turnover. And I think it is, at the end of the day, a football manager is a senior position within that said business. And I think everyone just kind of needs to maybe just take a stand and just kind of think, well, what is the situation we're in at the minute? You go back to 2008, May 2008, and me and my dad were at the Blackburn game. I think it was May 2008. We beat Blackburn 4-1. We still got relegated. That was the day that there was fans on the pitch. They broke the goalposts.
They got Sullivan and gold, yeah.
They were hurling abuse at the owners. I think David Sullivan, was there with his 9-year-old kid, I think he was at the time. And that was the time when he said, right, that's it, I've had enough. Now, that to me was the turning point, especially as my dad, as I was still fairly young at the time, my dad turned around to me and said, I think this is either going to go one or two ways. And there was a guy shouting in his ear, where's the investment, where's this, where's that? And after about 5 minutes, my dad had enough of him and turned around to him and said, what are you on about, where's the investment? And he said, well, where's the investment? They should be putting their hands in their pockets and what have you. And my dad said, look around you, mate. He said, this place was on its knees when these guys took over.
It wasn't on its knees at all, it was on its hips. It was farther up than that.
At the time, we had good backers, good British owners that genuinely cared about the club. I know there was questions over David Sullivan, but it's just the way he is. I met David Gold, and he genuinely loved that football club. Genuinely loved it. And, could it be said that, I know it's not all Blue Noses, but a fraction of Blue Noses at the time, because of the things that were being said and the things that were being held at the owners at the time, that was the reason why they sold up. We had good British managers. And they sold up to the first person that came along and offered them the most money. If your house was worth 250 grand and someone offered you $500,000, you're not going to care who's buying it. You'd sell it. So I think this has kind of been coming now for about 9 years. Is it nearly 10 years now? People have given a little bit of love to Carson Young and his time there for saying that we won the League Cup and everything. He didn't really splash the cat. I think he spent 22 million over that first summer and the January window. The reason we won the League Cup was because of a good manager that built a good team that was pretty much the same team that he was allowed to build under the previous ownership. So, I suppose it's a question for you guys. Where do you see the club, being in the next 5 years and what have you? Me personally, I think it's time to kind of sit there and go, we've had a lucky escape twice now. We're probably on for another one this season. So, in my eyes, we're back to starting again. We're starting afresh. We're starting from the beginning. That we've got an owner. He's obviously got the money to back it, and he's obviously said to do that. But we all know the reason why he's doing it is because he can sell it on at a profit. But realistically, we're back to the days of Trevor Francis. There was a time before the Premier League. There was a time before the League Cup final. And we were all there and we were all supporting it. And it seemed to get more support back in those days than we do now.
How old are you, Matt?
Sorry?
How old are you?
34.
34, okay.
So, that's just the kind of question for me. With all the social media stuff that's been going on recently, about Steve Cottrell, he may not be the greatest manager in the world, but, he's obviously there because he wants to be there and he feels he can do something. I think maybe it's time now to just kind of sit there and go, okay, we are where we are. Did a fraction of fans as us want it to be like this? Probably not. Did we force it? Probably, maybe. We are where we are. That's the situation we're in. I think it's time to start backing the manager, backing the players we got. And in my opinion, it's going to take a good 3 to 4 years for at least a couple of transfer windows and definitely a pre-season with the same manager to get us back to being an okay championship club. There's holes in the squad at the minute. You can see it. I don't agree with what Redknapp did with the fire sale that was going on. I think we were buying players that we didn't necessarily need when we needed other positions being filled. And I think it's time as a collective of fans for us to actually sit there and go, okay, Cottrell's the guy in charge. He obviously wants to do it. It's time to back him and back the players and stop talking about past managers and players that could have been and what have you and mistakes that the board have made.
That's football, though, isn't it? I mean, but that's why we all do this. You can't ignore the past, can you?
Granted, but I think it's time. Just like you said, togetherness at the beginning of the show. I think absolutely. It's just time to put those things behind us now and just kind of move on and start filling the ground up a bit more. And like I said, I think we've gone back to the days of Trevor Francis. Steve Cottrell is Trevor Francis, and we're starting again, and it's going to take a few years to get us back there.
Okay. Kev Kelly says Blues fans attack the hand that fed them, i.e. Sullivan, Golden, Brady. We are the architects of our own disaster.
Matt said he met David Gold and he was
a
really nice person.
I've lost him.
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, where did you meet David Gold?
When did I?
Where?
At St Andrews.
St Andrews, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I when I was about 10, I actually played golf in David Gold's back garden.
Name dropper.
I know,
name dropper.
Yeah, but so listen, David Gold and I think David Gold in particular, and definitely more so than David Sullivan. He did have an affinity with the club, and although they're both Londoners and. I think genuinely during the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, they did care about this club. Come to the end of 2008, which the period you're talking about, Matt, I think they were probably looking to get away anyway. And I think the relegation and the abuse that wholly unnecessary abuse that they did get from the fans, especially on that day against Blackburn, I think that certainly cemented their decision to leave. But you're right in a sense that I think when you say we have to get behind the team, we have to get behind the manager. I looked at the crowd at Derby and I thought for a team that are in the bottom three, that was again not for the first time. I've looked at that ground and thought, do you know what? these fans are still behind this team. They are behind them, and I'm as guilty as anyone. I've given the players and the manager a lot of stick this season, and sometimes deservedly, sometimes a little bit harshly, possibly. But you know what? We still go, and I'm sure Matt's the same. You're still going, and even though we're in the bottom three, you're still going and hoping that we can turn this around, Matt.
Well, I live in North Devon, so my family moved down here a few years ago, so we go up when we can.
Yeah.
But I mean, every time we go to a game, it's a couple of £100, including the fuel and everything.
Of course, yeah.
We still go as often as we can. But we sit there every Saturday and find some way of obviously trying to listen to the game if we can, if we're not going. But we're both in the agreements, me and my old man, that Steve Cottrell, he seems all right. He's I don't think he's the best manager in the world, but at the same time, he's got to be someone that you can say, is he going to be loyal? Probably. I doubt he'll be climbing the fence every opportunity to go and apply for a job. No dig at anyone in particular. But at the same time, I think everyone's got to be a bit more realistic and kind of think to themselves, this is probably going to take 3 years with the same manager. And not knowing what the ownership situation is going to be in the future, because we don't know what this guy's thinking, we don't know what he's going to do with it. But at the same time, I think it's maybe we just need to all go back to basics, and even the fans in terms of our expectations. It's going to be a good couple of pre-seasons before we can realistically judge Steve Cottrell.
Steve Portman's just said, I think more are behind the team than are behind the manager.
Yeah. Cottrell's made mistakes, and you hope if he's man enough, he'll admit that he's made mistakes as well. But again, I'm a massive fan of Gary Rowett. I'm not a great fan of Steve Cottrell, but I went on Saturday. You want Blues to win. If you always want Blues to win, no matter who the manager is or who the players are. You're supporting the badge, not any of the players or the manager. You're supporting that team, and you want your team to win. I think expectations an interesting one, Matt. About you said dampen the expectations a little bit. I think the fact that we stayed up on the last day last season. I think we all got carried away with the Redknapp factor, and expectations shouldn't have been, if we sign a few good players, we can make a real good go of promotion. Maybe Redknapp was at fault for that. He was the actual one that was saying, what, we can get promoted. I'm not here to finish mid-table. I'm here to get promoted. So he fueled the fans' expectation, if you like, and I agree with Matt. I think I fell for it as well. I'm as guilty as anybody, but. Maybe the expectation shouldn't have been as high as it was at the start of this season in particular.
Great call, Matt, to be honest with you. Great call. Before you go, Matt, there's a gentleman here called Aaron, Aaron, Galliers, Gallears, and he said, can you give me that caller's details? I come from Cornwall. I'd like the fuel company and share. For trips up to St Andrews. I know Aaron, I know him very well. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Yeah, and he quite often meet him when he comes up to St Andrews. So, would you like to do that?
Yeah, we'll go for that. Yeah.
Aaron Galliers, his name is. If you're on the, are you on the Tilton Talk? You watch these streams live, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, just keep scrolling down until such times you get hold of his name. Get hold of his name, give him a click. Get in touch, because I know Aaron is a cracking lad, and he comes up as often as he can as well. So.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. Marvellous. So something good's come out of that then.
Brilliant.
Okay, thanks, Matt. All the best for you. Thanks for your great comments, my friend. We'll be in touch shortly.
Cheers, guys.
All the best. Take care. Bye-bye. Competition time.
Right.
It's your turn to draw out.
Made some good points.
No, you can't draw out there.
Why?
Because I haven't done it.
Oh.
Because I haven't had my assistant ready.
Wow.
I'm ever so sorry.
What an excuse.
I know, yeah. So what we'll have to do is I'll draw
We'll do
it.
2 next week. One from the week previous.
We could do 2.
Yeah.
We'll do 2.
Ooh, a double.
Double up.
Double
So
up.
we could do 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that.
Okay. Will you remember?
No.
Probably not.
Okay. We'll get somebody on the chat box. Will remember.
Yeah.
What a cracking, an interesting call that was.
It was. Do you know what?
Cool, yeah.
Again, I think what's happened over the last 15 or so months, you know, from the sacking of the manager that he didn't want to talk about, you know, it has split fans, and it's, you know, there are still fans that you know, I don't know, pine isn't the word, you know, a lot of people say pine, but, you know, a lot of people think the sacking route was the wrong decision. A lot of think it was, and, you know, and it has split fans, and I think every game that goes on now, every time we lose, that every time that name comes up, there's an even bigger split and divide between fans. And I think, but when the important thing is, you can agree. You know, football's all about opinions, and whether you agree or disagree with the sacking of any manager, or whether any manager was good or not, you know, as soon as it gets to 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you know, again, there was 23,000 at St Andrews on Saturday. And
that is impressive for where we are.
For a side that are in the bottom three, and we're getting higher attendances than we did last season.
Okay, some of the comedy coming in then. One book and one car share. You'll be setting up dates next to Tilton Love Shack. Lol. Robert Doyle, well done for that one. We've only got 10 minutes for 8 minutes for your comedy.
Can I just put? I just want to say one thing in respect of his comments about Rowett. What happened as soon as Stoke sacked Mark Hughes and Gary Rowett was favourite for that job, what happened?
Snapped. Signed.
Derby gave him a new contract.
Well, he got a new contract from Blues. He was on the table, he hadn't signed it.
So, but they know what they've got.
Yes.
They gave him a new contract. We sacked him.
Scores for Saturday. Here we go. Robert Doyle has asked for the scores for Saturday. What's your honest appraisal?
Scores for Saturday.
Yes.
I don't think there'll be many goals. I think we're taking a fair few again. I think there's nearly 2,000 Blues fans going.
Sold out.
Which is very, very impressive again. And I will go... The last away game was 2-0 at Reading, where we arguably our best performance of the season. 2-1 Blues.
Adam James is going 2-0 Blues. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Mrs. Brown?
I might go for I'm going to go for a 1-0 win.
A 1-0 win.
What are you going?
1-1.
So you're the one who's negative this week?
Not negative, that's been positive.
Oh my goodness, okay.
John Asquith 1-0. Brett Stanley's agreeing with me with 1-1. Was 1-0 Blues. Who won the prize? No prize today, Paul. We're going to do 2 next week. Pete Taylor 2-0 to Reading. And I saw earlier that Manchester United are beating Stoke 2-0.
It's not a massive surprise.
No.
Mr. Kelly, the merchant store will open on the 32nd of March.
Yes. Okay, good. Or the 29th of February. Seen a lot of that one going. John Lyons 2-1. Steve Gunn, I'm a huge Gary Rowett fan, but he was going to leave anyway. It's the board's fault of hiring stupid managers. Steve Portman 0-2. Win
big
to the
mates
Blues.
with this Rowett, are you, Steve? Tell you that personally, did he?
Get the burgers in. 2-2 from Dave Walsh. Kev Kennan's going with me. 1-1 draw. Steady the ship and get ready for Sunderland. We're going to completely romp somebody. 4-1 from Aaron.
Is that game?
Aaron.
How big is Sunderland at home? I mean, we'll talk about it next week.
Mark Swin says, did you see the French referee kick the player?
I did.
I didn't see that.
I did.
What happened?
PSG were on the break, and the Nantes player was trying to track back, and he's just collided, just caught the referee's feet, and both of them have, and the referee's gone over, and he must have thought that the player has had a kick out at him, so the ref has had a kick out at the player, and then got up and sent him off.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, how many people out there went, yes?
The referee must have thought that the player had deliberately tripped him up. So he's lashed out at him, first of all, which is crazy, and then he sent him off, and he must have looked back at it afterwards and gone, oh my goodness, what have I done?
Goodness me. Robert Doyle's going to take some pictures of the burgers in Preston. Can you post them online?
I've got an idea. We need to have...
Also, we need to know how much they are.
A gallery burger. a burger gallery.
A burger gallery.
I think we should have
on away days
running across the top there.
Yes.
Burgers from
me and a friend of mine, Tom Kearns, who lives in London now.
That's 2 friends you got.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? We used to go like home and away every game. I used to drive down, and we used to drive every away game, and we come up with the idea that we'd try every pie from the away ground.
Last one, ref's been suspended, so John.
Yes, I did see that. The ref has been suspended. Okay. Yeah, we'd try every pie from every away ground we've been to, and we'd have a detailed analysis of the pie, and put it on a website, and we set up a website where we rated the pie from each away ground. Give it out of 10 on taste and heat and service and everything like that.
Well, let's do the same.
It didn't get off very far, to be fair.
I'm sure we could further it.
I thought it was a terrific idea.
I think it's going to. Well, that's definitely a red.
Anybody that's going to Preston, then please give us an appraisal on your pies on the next
pies,
show.
burgers.
Yeah, whatever you're eating. Yeah. Whatever your football experience is Pie Watch. And
Pie Watch,
including costs.
RateMyPie.co.uk. It was going to be
Rate My Pie.
Yeah.
Rate My Pie.
I don't know if that's been trademarked, but that's what it was going to be. But
oh dear me, could we use that? Could we use that? That's
if
brilliant.
you want to, yeah.
Rate My Pie.
I don't know if it's trademarked or not.
Who rate my pie?
Who rate all my pies?
Who rate
all my pies?
Who rate all my pies? Yeah.
I'll get GA to do a jingle. I'll get GA to do a jingle.
Oh, golden blimey! Next Monday, then we're going to do who rate all my pies? Who rate all the pies? Oh, God, blimey! Oh,
that's mad.
I don't know where we get it.
Could have done with that ref on Saturday. He'd have kicked Johnny Russell up in the air. Yeah, do you know what? Worst bit on Saturday. Andy Vyman celebrating his goal in front of me with his hands on his back. After the little scrote should have been sent off after 20 seconds of coming on for going studs up on Magoma. Oh, he's got a nerve. Oh,
by the way, we haven't done one of these.
You're listening to Trevor Francis on the...
That was going to be.
I'm glad we did that.
We haven't did it right at the end.
I know,
keep
what a way to end it.
Keep them wanting more and all that, you know what I mean?
It's gone all funny, hasn't it?
Right, okay. Well, what a show that's been. It's been a cracker with Piegate.
Yeah.
New books. Matt, good caller, Matt.
Yeah.
Excellent caller.
Steve and Matt's both great callers. Yeah.
You're listening to Trevor Francis on the Tilton Talk
games. All done through the Tilton Talk Show. What can I say?
Hashtag rate my pie.
Who rate all the pies? It's got to be
who rate all my pies.
Who rates all my pies?
Yeah, that is the one.
Yeah, that's freaking great. Who rate all my pies?
just before we go, can I quickly say that those that know about SRB Radio, we do a lot of music. And if you go onto the Tilton Talk page, I've put a little bit up there where you can vote for SRB Radio in the Birmingham Music Awards. So do it, and I'll love you forever.
So there is a link on the Tilton Talk page. Can you put that link onto this shout box here as well?
I'll try.
Because if you can very quickly, that would be good.
Yeah.
But there is a link on the Tilton Talk page. Steve Salt was very disappointed there's no Ndoye section.
Yeah, I'll give him one. Ndoye's crap. Move on.
Oh! Please, you burnt my ears.
There's your Ndoye section, Steve.
Bleepy says, fair play, lads, good show again. Thanks, Bleepy. Look forward to you joining in with us next week. And
if anybody else wants to phone in and say anything after the games, then please feel free.
As long as you keep it real, keep it clean, keep it proper.
Yes.
That's absolute rules, because we do
nothing outrageous, please.
Yeah. If you do want to phone in, then please get in touch with either Chris Brown, Chris Pugh, or myself in the week, and we'll arrange that. We phone you, don't we?
Yes, of course we do.
So it doesn't even cost you.
Doesn't cost you nothing.
Doesn't even cost you. Stinky Flag hasn't been mentioned. Well, there you go. As now.
Yeah, well done, Adam. You've mentioned
well done for that one. More positivity these days. It's the hope that kills you. Hashtag. Well, there you go. The Tilton Talk Show tonight. We'll dedicate the show to Cyril Regis and his family, who sadly passed away this morning at the age of 59. It just shows how frail the edge of life is, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
Right, crack a smile before we go. people want it. They're asking.
That's all you're getting. Terrific.
All right, guys, it's been a good one once again. Thanks ever so much for you people for joining in, because you're the people that matter. You're the people that make this what it is. Well done, thank you. Preston, next Saturday, keep right to the end of the road. And that thing we were all talking about earlier, let's stick together. Keep right on. Mrs. Fun.
Mrs. Fun, again.
Can I just quickly try this again? Hang on.
Yeah, try that again.
You're listening to Trevor Francis on the Tilton Talk Show.
There you go. Wonderful.
Cheers, Dan.
Take it easy, guys. See you next week.
Talk show. Oh, yes. Shut up.
Watch until the end of the day.